Welcome to the Digital Dreaming Off the Gridiron podcast. It is a loser Monday. Monday. Loser Monday, back-to-back weeks. So this episode is going to be a little bit more critical. Usually want to be at higher spirits, but it's okay. That's football, right? I'm joined by my co-host, the most Cortez Branch Jr. Football. Yes, it is. Let's get right into it, bro. I mean, we're going to start off. Okay, y'all. Up there, that's Steve Young. The last time the 49ers won a Super Bowl was in 1994. The January 1995 was the actual game. That's Steve Young and Jerry, the Cover Sports Illustrated Collector's Edition. They signed it. They only signed 100 of those. I am happy to be one of the 100 owners of that. Okay. This February, this year, is 30 years since the Niners have last won their Super Bowl. And what I've seen so far, what they put out on tape, in these first 3 weeks, granted, it's only the first quarter of the season. That's it, right? 3 weeks, maybe even less than that, because now we're entering week 4. But this first quarter of the season thus far, this Niners team does not look anywhere close to competing for a Super Bowl. Okay?
Because they're not.
Does not. Let's talk about it, all right? They allowed 296 yards to the Rams yesterday. Obviously, they dominated time possession. But if I'm not mistaken, I saw the number 3 heading into the season. Charvarius Ward was a number 3 cornerback heading into the league this year. I saw him get burned deep by was it either Demarcus Robinson or Tutu Atwell? Maybe it was both. I saw Devondre Campbell, free agent acquisition, get burned deep, gave a dumbass PI call to 86. I forgot what his name is. I think Hawkins, whatever his name is, Parkey or whatever. And then I just saw an offense outside of Juwan Jennings, outside of Brock Purdy, who had great performances on Sunday, just looked absolutely anemic. I mean, offensive line couldn't get any blocks in. The running back, Mason did what he could, but obviously, Brock Purdy, obviously people are blaming him for not seeing Ayuk, but Ayuk was not consistent that entire game, and even in that last throw, there was no guarantee he would have made, even if he threw it to him, that he would catch it. And Ronnie Bell, I mean, I don't know. And Kyle, at what point do we start looking and saying it's the head coach's fault? At what point do we start looking? You go ahead.
As I'm watching the last 5 to 10 minutes of this of this game, the first thing that comes through my mind is, has he given no thought to time of possession? That was number 1. Number 2 is, all right, so not only is he not giving a thought to time of possession, we're going to find out what the team is made of in how they're going to be able to move along after this. And what I found out is Kyle Shanahan is an idiot sometimes. And I know that he's this offensive guru and this genius, especially giving his pedigree. But what I saw was kind of ridiculous. You had Brock Purdy scrambling around for his life. And let's not forget, there's a guy on his team that has stone hands, okay? 40-yard pass. That was a 40-yard pickup that he dropped. And Purdy put that ball right where it needed to be, in the place where only he could catch it. How he did not catch it, I don't know. Why he did not catch it, I don't know. I would like to think that he just got scared, or maybe he heard footsteps. But at the end of the day, you got to make that catch. That seals the game. Matter of fact, passing the ball at all in that situation was probably a really dumb decision. You have another team that you're playing against who's been a little bit shaky on scoring. You go up 2 scores, you guarantee yourself a victory at that point, don't you?
And that's where we have to talk about Jake Moody, because Jake Moody missing that 55-yarder, which would have iced the game with less than 5 minutes left. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, it's one thing, obviously 55 yards, I get it, down distance, that's not a shoe-in. Obviously you want it a little bit more manageable, but ultimately Jake Moody was drafted in the 3rd round. I mean, you don't draft a kicker unless you expect him to make those kicks. And so far, I mean, Jake Moody had a great rookie season, but in the Super Bowl, he missed extra point, which could have potentially sealed the game in regulation. The Niners would have been 6-time Super Bowl champions. And obviously, you look at this, Jake Moody hasn't been clutch when we needed him to be. That's plain simple.
He has been.
And to your point, no, running the ball would have been the smarter play. And I didn't understand it, but I think ultimately also the Rams were eating up the runs because the plays are so And this whole narrative of what you just said, because I'm glad you said that because I want to touch upon this. How is Kyle Shanahan considered an offensive genius when he can't even scheme guys wide open, and these guys can't beat man coverage? These back-to-back weeks against the Vikings, against, obviously the Rams, a banged-up
Yeah,
Rams team at that.
yeah.
I think the only guy getting open consistently was number 15, Jawan Jennings, a superhero. Go figure. Jawan Jennings are 15, 175 yards, 3 touchdowns. Brock Purdy almost had 300 yards on the day and 3 touchdowns, all to Jawan Jennings. I mean, outside of Jawan, they don't really have an option. Brandon BA, and let's talk about BA for a second, right? BA, like
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier when we first started this podcast, like BA, you're supposed to be the guy. You get paid $30 million a year. You got to be showing up, and BA up to this point in the season has looked absolutely
I mean, how long have we been talking about him?
yeah, right.
How long have we been talking about Ayuk? And what did we say at the beginning of this season about Ayuk and his contracts?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that him becoming invisible is going to help their team very much.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he's mentally. I mean, honestly, I think he got his bag, and he just looks mentally checked out. He just looks like, he got his bag. Trent Williams got his bag. Trent Williams is out of shape because he missed training camp. Ayuk is just looking terrible. I mean, him being invisible, 48 yards isn't going to cut it, bro. Like, you got to step up and this whole. It's obviously early in the season, so obviously, people don't push the panic button. But what I'm seeing is very concerning because what I'm seeing is more or less the same issue I saw from last season. I'm seeing the players not give full effort on defense. I'm seeing the secondary get beat consistently. I'm seeing the linebackers, with the exception of Drake Greenlaw being out, I'm seeing the defensive front four not be able to win the battle in the trenches. Nick Sorensen is actually making Steve Wilkes look like Bill Belichick at this point in the season.
Right.
Obviously some Irish fans said, "Oh, D'Amico Ryans when he took over as DC after Robert Saleh left, took D'Amico a little bit, and then he made the team an all-time great defense." Sure, yeah, you have that argument. Robert Saleh left 3 years ago. D'Amico took the reign in 2021. 2022 came back. Then he left to get a head coaching gig. But I mean, with all due respect, I mean, Nick Sorensen is not looking anywhere near competent. I mean, you look at that Justin Jefferson touchdown last week. Dante Whitner said that was bad safety alignment, and that comes down to, and Dante Whitner, obviously played for the Niners for, I forget, almost like a decade, and was an All Pro safety on the Super Bowl team back in. They didn't win the Super Bowl, but the team that was run up the Super Bowl back against the Saints said that's bad. That's bad. He puts it on the DC because that's bad safety awareness, bad alignment. You don't leave Justin Jefferson uncovered. But what was more alarming this week was that the Rams didn't even have a Justin Jefferson, but their receivers were beating our guys consistently when we're supposed to have a better secondary with Yadam, with Ward, with Lenore, right? These guys are getting beat consistently for like deep 30, 40, 50-yard passes. And I mean, these explosive passing plays, These are really the nail in the coffin. And that was a nail in the coffin yesterday. That's what Sam Darnold, that was the difference against the Vikings. Those 7-point game, right? 23-17, 6-point game, right? But that was the difference, just the JJ touchdown. That was the longest touchdown ever allowed. Sorry, go ahead, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, that was the largest touchdown ever allowed in 49ers franchise history, 97 yards. They had never allowed a touchdown that long. And then you talk about just, this I mean, what Desmond Tutu Atwell having a 50-yard completion, DeMarcus Robinson a 50-yard completion, it's just the defense just looks absolutely abysmal, and I just don't know. I mean,
you lost a whole bunch of players, and it's almost like they lost their identity by losing those players.
And I mean, the issue is the players who they didn't lose, the ones who are supposed to be, having breakout seasons. I mean, Bosa is looking like he's giving half effort every other play. The only player,
I don't think Bosa is supposed to be injured.
Yeah, Bosa's supposed to be injured. But the only player, I mean, Bosa is playing through a rib injury, but if you're going to play, bro, I mean, you're going to pay $37 million a year again. I mean, they're paying you $34 to $37 million a year. You got to, I mean, there's an expectation that comes with that. And what I'm seeing from Bosa, he's not the game wrecker like a TJ Watt is, which is what he's being paid to do. He's not going, like TJ Watt, if you watch the Steelers, TJ Watt's consistently in the backfield wreaking havoc. Right? Aaron Dawn when he played consistently, opposing quarterbacks in backfield we can have it. You know, J.J. Watt in his peak, in his prime, before he got injured, right? Nick Bosa was being paid because he showed flashes of being that guy. I mean, yeah, he's a great sack master game after QB, but he needs to do more. And I mean, obviously, everyone outside of Bosa, I mean, yeah, you can make the argument that the guys next to him aren't as good, as he used to have. Like, I mean, no one's as good as DeForest Buckner. I think Leonard Floyd is all right. Javon Hargrave looked good when he had the sack on Stafford, but outside of that, I mean, he didn't really look that great against Kyren Williams. I mean, they make Kyren Williams look like the next coming of Saquon. I mean, you let Kyren Williams have 2 touchdowns, you let him flip into the end zone. I mean, he made our defense look fucking stupid and look ridiculous. I mean, the lack of effort, the lack of awareness, just the lack of overall execution, it comes down to coaching. Okay, it starts with coaching, and then it comes to the players obviously need to execute, And I just think this iteration of the Niners team, everyone said it before the season. You make it to 4 NFC championships, you make it to 2 Super Bowls, that runs a toll, right? It's an emotional journey to kind of get to the Super Bowl, come back, and absolutely when you lose Super Bowl, that's why they call it Super Bowl hangover. It's much harder for the losing team to go back and win than it is for the winning team to go back and win.
Yep.
And so,
yes, it is.
And that's kind of where we're at right now. I really think that this team, I mean, I'm looking at the next couple games, the Patriots, the Cardinals, the Seahawks at Seattle. Then the Chiefs come to town, who, by the way, are undefeated, right? I mean, it's
yeah.
and then you play the Cowboys, and then you get the bye. I mean, there's a very good chance this team is 3-5 heading into the bye week. So, yeah. I mean, obviously the Niners, historically speaking, start slow. People say, yeah, they're a second-half team, so maybe that's sure. But this strength of schedule is unforgiving. I mean, they're playing every division winner across the schedule. They're playing the Buccaneers. They're playing the Chiefs. Oh, my God. They just, what do you call it? They played in the NFC North, who won last year? Yeah, they played Detroit, right? I mean, they play the Bills. I mean, God, they play – and they go on the road to play many of these teams too. And so, I mean – and the division looks much stronger. Seattle's undefeated. They're 3-0. They're off to a hot start. Arizona, they put up 41 points. They almost beat the Lions this past week. I mean, like – and the Rams, like that was your opportunity. When Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are out, that's your opportunity to get these wins and to secure your cushion and get this early divisional lead at this point in the season. I mean, Steve Young said it for a season. The conference is tougher. The division is tougher. They really did squander an opportunity last year. I was really optimistic in all my YouTube shorts and everything. Yeah, now just come back. They're going to win it. That's just, but ultimately, bro, what I saw yesterday is and what I've seen so far starting this year. Go ahead.
I am going to say that this was less of a player personnel problem and more of a mismanagement problem. And I think that I don't know what was going through the OC's head or Shanahan's, but somebody has to step in and say, hey, that's not the way the things are supposed to be done. What are we doing out there? You got 2 guys that are picking up the slack from 2 other guys that are supposed to be in, but both are out with injury. And you're like, all right, well, what am I going to do here? My question is, and you know where this is going. Why didn't they run the football? They have a guy that can kick it 60 yards. Why didn't you run the football? You're on the 45. If you would have ran the football, you picked up 6 with Brock Purdy on a 140-yard scramble, okay?
Right.
You picked up 6 when you could have just, I don't know, turned it and handed it off to your running back. I guarantee you Mason would have been fine to take it 3, 4, and then maybe another 3, and they would have been able to get a push there and then kick the field goal to end the game, and you go up 2 scores. Instead, what you do is you play the game with the Rams. They get a nasty completion, and then they score, and then you go and say, okay, well, instead of icing the game, I'm going to get cute. And what do I always say about cute football?
Right.
It doesn't work, man. Look at the teams that play cute. Where are they at right now? All of them are either 0-3 or 1-2. There are no cute teams that are doing anything in today's game, and that's because the game is continually evolving. And I said this 2 years ago. You're going to see a resurgence in running backs. Anytime Saquon Barkley has a career night, you're going to start to see a career resurgence in running backs. And once again, your quarterbacks, how many starting quarterbacks from the last 2 drafts are all injured?
Right.
6, 7?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In the last 3 drives, it's like half the league. Because you got to remember, Trevor Lawrence always goes down. Justin Herbert is down again. I don't know if Tua Tagovailoa ever plays again. Jalen Hurts is strong, but he gets injured too. So when it really comes down to it, you have to think: do we keep trying to innovate this game as far as how the game is played, or do we go back to the basics, line up 11 guys, and not get cute with it? Not try to get rid of positions, not try to make it as if something is not as important. Because I'm going to tell you right there, what would have been way cuter than Brock Purdy scrambling for 140 yards on one play to get 6 would have been him turning around, wasting no energy, and handing it off to his running back like football's designed for. That's just me. I would have been able to hand it off to the running back and then take my chances kicking a field goal. At that point, no matter what, we have a better chance to win than going 4-and-out.
Right. And I think, kind of to that point, I agree with you. Fundamental football is really what wins. I mean, look at the Chiefs. I mean, they got big, fat hogs on that line, all pro offensive linemen, 330-pound plus dudes who are just, monsters clogging up. You got Creed Humphrey. Creed's are probably the best center at his position. And I mean, Andy Reid being the innovative master that he is, yeah, he's an innovative master, but like really the Chiefs won that Super Bowl just, off Patrick Mahomes' arm. And Patrick Mahomes made some plays when he ran it, but ultimately, I think the Niners. I mean, I don't know what it is, but the defense somehow always collapses under Shanahan, and I mean, it's a running theme with Shanahan.
It becomes a coaching problem and not a talent problem.
Right. It's
and
not.
So speaking of coaching problems, because I know everybody wants to get to Monday Night Football, and we got a few things we're gonna run through today. We're gonna circle back on this.
Yes, we are. Let's go to Monday Night Football.
So, before we go to Monday Night Football, I have to go with my biggest grievance of the weekend outside of that game.
Yes.
I looked at you last year and everybody else that's watching and all of these people that are in here. And what did I say? I said, do not trade Justin Fields to draft a rookie quarterback because you're going to have a repeat problem. You can go and pull it up if you want to. Go look at it for yourself. We talked about this at the end of the season. Do not trade Justin Fields because what you have is someone that can be developed if you develop him. What are we having problems with? We got 5 down linemen. We have an all-pro running back, and we have a rookie quarterback running for their lives behind the offensive line of you, Chicago Bears. Yes, I took my Bears jersey off and put back my high school sweater on because I had nothing more to say about the Bears on Sunday night. And I'm going to tell you, Matt Eberflus, I'm calling for your job if you don't get this right, because you're gonna ruin Caleb Williams the same way you ruined Justin Fields last year. And you know what? I have one more thing to say about this. I am so tired of armchair quarterbacks and armchair offensive coordinators trying to tell me that you can't play football and win football games by playing traditionally. Justin Fields, yes, he's not throwing for 250, but he doesn't need to. You know why? Because the Pittsburgh Steelers are number 2 in time of possession. They hold the ball a full 5.5 minutes longer than the other team. Let me tell you what that equates to. If my offense is on the field with the football, yours isn't. If my offense is on the field, your offense isn't on the field. Your defense is. If I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that are going to gas you every play, then your defense, full of fat boys, is going to get tired because we're going to run the ball up and down the field and make them tired. And I don't care if we kick 17 field goals, because by the end of the game, they're not going to be able to stop anything we do. And I'm going to tell you how it happens. It happens at every level of football, from the top to the bottom. And if you don't realize that just going out there and throwing 52 plus passes with a rookie makes no sense. Oh, he had 362 yards. I mean, but did they win the game? Did they win the game? I don't care if he passed for 5 yards and they won the game, because Carson Palmer won the game. I mean, Andy Dalton, my bad. Andy Dalton won the game. Andy Dalton, former Bengals guys. Andy Dalton won the game. Did he have a problem? No. You know why Andy Dalton didn't have a problem? It's because his coach understands his limitations. His offensive line blocked forever. and he was able to find whoever he wanted to give the ball to, whether it be the running back or whether it be the receiver. But guess what? If your offensive line is not there, you have to stop being cute and you got to be a little bit more creative. You have an anemic ground attack. You just picked up one of the best running backs in the league. How do you have no running game? Khalil Herbert is invisible in this offense, and we got another one. We have another running back who's a bruising back who doesn't really even get to get used. He's a hard runner, but you're running him to the edge every time. Why? I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go and say this. This is the softest the NFL has ever been.
I
This
agree.
is the softest that the NFL has ever been. This is the softest that football has ever been. You got everybody running around, and I am not upset about people wearing Guardian caps. What I am upset about, though, is if you're going to do something for the safety of the league, you should probably make it to where everybody is doing it. Because if it's that safe, then or make the helmets the way that they are. Why am I putting something on top of a helmet? That's going to make me a little bit more uncomfortable and a lot bit more hot, especially if I'm on the West Coast, especially if I'm in the South, or especially if I'm on the East Coast in the South. Could you imagine playing in Jacksonville with a Guardian cap on all day, knowing that you're going to be ran ragged, especially on defense? Could you imagine that?
Man.
I couldn't. So I'm gonna I have to move on from this because I'm gonna sit here and be annoyed about this all damn day. But the Chicago Bears are trash. Let's face the facts here. The Chicago Bears are trash. I might be a fan. You might have been a secondary or tertiary fan, but we know that they're trash. Justin Fields is 3-0 in the National Football League. Caleb Williams has only passed for over 140 yards one time in the season out of 3, but he continually averages over 35 passes per game. What was it, 50% completion percentage, less 40% completion percentage? That's trash. Justin Fields went his first 10 for 10 again. It's not the first time that he's done it, either in Chicago or all the way out there in Pittsburgh. It's not the first time he's done it, but he's an efficient quarterback right now under veteran head coach Mike Tomlin, Super Bowl champion Mike Tomlin. Let's just say that for a second. So you have the Bears front office is to blame, the Bears head coach is to blame, the offensive coordinator is to blame. And you know what? They're letting down that defense because guess what happens when you go 3 and out? Your defense is right back on the field after less than a minute of being on the bench. They barely got water. They barely came up with a new scheme. Rotations weren't made. Their feet are probably tired because if you guys don't know this, cleats aren't exactly comfortable to wear, especially on turf.
Right.
So let's you know what we got another at least half an hour before we got to get up out of here. Let's go ahead and move away from 2 trash head coaches right now who need to get their heads out of their bungholes, and that's Mike Shanahan and Matt Eberflus. We're gonna try to not talk about the Bears or the 49ers right now because they're both having the same issue: bad management.
I'm going to say, yeah, actually, let me correct you because Mike Shanahan was undefeated in the Super Bowl because you know
Oh,
why?
my bad, Kyle Shanahan,
No, no,
not
no.
Mike.
No, thank you for bringing up his name because you know why? He did what Kyle couldn't do. He ran the damn ball.
Wait, say it one more time for us. Do what with the ball?
Run the damn ball, Kyle.
All right, I'm
God
just making
damn
sure
it.
I heard that right. I'm just making sure I
Absolutely.
heard that right. You know,
Absolutely.
there is something that sticks in my craw about not playing tough football. The game is supposed to be tough. The game is supposed to be gritty. The game is supposed to hurt just a little bit. Sometimes a lot of bit. If you're trying to tackle me, it's gonna hurt you like this. But the thing that I just don't understand not having a run game. I don't understand throwing the ball 50 something times. I don't understand not protecting your quarterback. I don't understand dropping passes 6 times in a game in San Francisco. 6. You would have got benched after 2. But they do have a depth problem right now. We understand that. There was a couple of practice squad players that got called up in San Francisco. Do I think San Francisco's in a better position than Chicago? Yeah. Do I think Mr. Irrelevant right now is a better quarterback than Mr. Williams? Yeah. Do I think that Justin Fields is showing himself to be a quarterback? Yeah. And if anybody wants to argue with me, you go win 3 games in the National Football League in a row. You go and do it.
That's simple. I speak of those, like Seattle now has a division lead, and they're looking great under first year head coach Mike McDonald. I mean, yeah, I mean it's gonna be tough sledding for the Niners if they don't get their act right and get figured out fast. I mean, I don't think it's a simple trade as in getting Hassan Reddick or I mean, this was the offseason where they had to make the moves and they decided to go cheap instead of, making, the actual move that could benefit the franchise. And obviously I'm cognizant of the salary cap. But when you talk about management, I want to make one more point. When you pay Brandon Ayuk $120 million, $30 million a year, when you pay Trent Williams an additional $82 million, you pay Devo's making about $30 million a year, right? I mean, these guys not only have to be available, but they have to be playing at an all-pro, Pro Bowl level every single game.
If you're making $30 million a year, anything close, you should probably be playing at a Pro Bowl level.
It's that simple. And so far, none of that's happened. I haven't seen it from Trent.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say if you're making $1 million a year, you should be playing at a Pro Bowl level. You're making significantly more money than the rest of society for playing a sport.
And the fucking guys have to feed my family. You have to feed my family. Fuck you talking about feed your family. Feed my, God damn it, bro. And to your point, actually, let's make that. Brock Purdy is making less than $1 million a year. And who was the best player on the field yesterday?
Brock Purdy.
Juwan Jennings making
Brock
$4.5
Purdy was picked last in the draft. That guy is usually called Mr. Irrelevant. He was picked dead last in the draft.
That's why the media will not give him his flowers because they don't want to.
No, they're ready to relegate him back to being Mr. Irrelevant.
Exactly, because the fact that they don't want to say that there's something broken in the scouting process. I mean, everyone missed on this guy. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone so late in the draft. But now, if Brock has to get paid next year, I mean, this is probably an unpopular opinion, and maybe it's reactionary, but just based on my frustration as a 49ers fan, investing all the how many hundreds, not hundreds, but tens of thousands of dollars, in this team, right? I just think, if they have to go full rebuild after the season, I'm all for it. Keep 13.
Well, they're gonna end up going to a rebuild if they lose another game. And that's because, like I said about the Chicago Bears, like I said about the other teams, if you go 0-3, you go 1-3, you're out. Unless, I don't see in this league that we're watching, I don't see anybody railing off 13 straight. There's too much parity in the league and there's too much talent. I don't see anybody railing off 13 straight wins. So you got to stop losing games in a row. You have to stop making the same mistakes over and over again in winnable games. I'm sorry, that LA game was winnable, and even the game in Chicago was winnable. You're playing one of the worst teams in football with the Indianapolis Colts. You should have ran all over them, but instead your offensive line is looking at you guys from the ground. I probably would have took my helmet off. I would have been like, y'all not gonna keep hitting me. You got DJ Moore, who's getting underutilized, which is crazy. DJ Moore is getting underutilized in Chicago. That is nothing against Rome Odunze at all, because the guy is balling now. He is, but let me tell you something. Caleb Williams is throwing into triple coverage just to get the ball to Rome Odunze. I don't even think does he care about winning? I'm going to ask. I'm not going to make the statement. Does he care about winning, or because they were definitely celebrating while being down 2 scores.
Mm-hmm.
With in the fourth quarter, knowing that they might only get one more possession, I don't think I would have been celebrating the way they were celebrating. Shoot, Caleb Williams ran more yards to play around with Rome Odunze than he did the entire game on the ground. So I mean, that's just enough for me right there. Does he care? They asked if Justin Fields care. Does Caleb Williams care? For you guys that don't know this, the week before last, the Bears got beat by Justin Fields' backup at Ohio State. I'm just gonna leave that little nugget there. And Ali, go ahead, take us forward, man.
Yes, sir. And let's talk. I just want to bring that up because people said C.J. Stroud was going to be the buzz. Bryce Young actually, being replaced by Andy Dalton. People. I really think that the scouting process is broken. And but anyways, I'm going to just keep going. Obviously, Saints, Eagles, really, 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 really highly contested games. Eagles win 15-13 over New Orleans. So, that was a really big game. That could be potential end chance to preview. Cowboys get blown out by the Ravens. Not much more to say there. I mean, obviously, Cowboys have been blown out now back-to-back weeks. They're really looking terrible. I mean, Niners look bad, but Cowboys are actually getting blown off their own field. So I don't know what to say about that. Then pretty much just keep going down the list. Positives, I mean, the Chiefs won. Obviously, the Chiefs, I mean, they're not really, I don't know if it's a positive or a negative. You mentioned parity. I mean, unfortunately, I mean, I'm going to have to disagree to some degree because I still think the best team in the league are the guys who have won 2 in a row and probably are going to win 3 if we're being quite honest. Because
who's going to beat them?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't know. I mean, and they're going to be right.
Who's gonna beat them? Like, I'm just keeping it real. Who's gonna beat them? Who's gonna beat them? I really want to know. When it really comes down to it, who's gonna beat them?
Like out of the AFC, no one really excites me. Like the Bills are winning, I guess, but didn't the Bills lose? I think the Bills got dominated, did they?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we got, was it 2 Monday night games this week?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, the Bills playing tonight.
I think they are.
Okay, so then I apologize.
I'll get you. I'll get you. I'll get you what's about to happen in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, because the Texans lost to
the Buffalo's playing right now. Buffalo's up 6-0 on Jacksonville.
Okay.
So let's recap this. We got Buffalo and we got Jacksonville and we got Washington and Cincinnati. Buffalo and Jacksonville's playing right now. Buffalo's up 6-0. Is there any chance that Jacksonville does anything to Buffalo?
I don't think so. I mean, and I was gonna say, and I apologize. I remember the Texans. I mean, they got blown out by the Vikings. I think it was 34-7 or something like that. So I really don't see any path forward. For anyone out of the AFC. I think the Chiefs are repeating. And if the Buffalo Bills, I mean, if they can somehow beat KC, but Josh Allen, I believe, is 0-2 against Mahomes or 0-3 against Mahomes in the postseason. So that's pretty much, what it is what it is at this point.
I think Mahomes kind of has the league, under his thumb right now. So
absolutely,
we can't really be upset about that. Mahomes has the league under his thumb.
He does.
I think that Allen has the capability in the team behind him to do it, but once again, Andy Reid is a coaching genius. And I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to glaze him or nothing. I'm just keeping it 100. Andy Reid has won at multiple franchises. And when you win at multiple franchises, what can anybody say about you other than you're a winner? So Andy Reid's a winner. And a fantastic head coach. And it seems like he actually cares about his players. It seems like he cares about the way that they feel. And in my opinion, I'm not a Kansas City fan, as you are well aware of, but I do appreciate watching football, and I appreciate watching football the way that they play football. Not so much on the crazy underarm throws and all of that. And I do get excited when they lose sometimes, depending on who they're playing. But who's gonna beat them? That's my question. Who's good enough to beat them right now, the way they're playing?
Right.
It's a long season. It's a long season. People get better. Offensive schemes start working, matchups, but I think if Kansas City is winning games and Travis Kelce hasn't even started heating up yet, then the league's in trouble when the rest of those guys start to heat up and the rest of those guys start to get everything together.
Yeah, I mean, I really think last season proved the Chiefs' philosophy of, not necessarily, burning their guys early on in the year. Obviously, I mean, Travis Kelce's had a very slow start this season, but, at some point later in the season, if his number is called and if he's required to make the catches, I think he's pretty much. I honestly think he didn't retire last year because he wanted to be part of the three-peat, and I think after this season he probably will look to retire because he's going to be 35 next month. Tight ends shelf life.
I thought he was 35 already.
He's going to be 35 pretty soon. Yeah, he's going to be 35 in October. And basically from that end, I mean, he's a tight end. I mean, it's not like he's playing it's not like a wide. I mean, even a wide receiver is a pretty demanding position. But I want to say that if he was a quarterback or like a kicker, of course, you can last much longer. But I mean, playing as a tight end, especially as a wide receiver at such an elite level, I mean, they pretty much phase out. I think around like 38. But at his point, probably 35 would be great because if you go out on top. He already has 3 Super Bowls. If you win a 4th one, that puts you in the all-time category with the Gronkowskis of the world, right? So,
I
I
mean,
still
yeah,
believe,
you got to be up there with Gronkowski, Shannon Sharp, Tony
yeah,
Gonzalez, those guys. The greatest of all time.
yeah. I mean, he's already up there with Shannon. He has three. Shannon has three. Tony obviously has the records that he hasn't doesn't have any hardware like the other guys. But I think Gronkowski is the greatest overall tight end in NFL history because of what he could do, like blocking wise, running, catching the ball. I mean, Gronk was the greatest to ever do it. In my personal
I
opinion.
don't, I loved Gronk. I have nothing bad to say about Gronk. All praises when it comes to
Yeah,
his abilities.
absolutely. And then
Um,
yeah, good.
so we got next. I'm going to take Buffalo over Jacksonville. That's a given. We got Washington over Cincinnati. Washington's 1-1. Cincinnati is 0-2. Washington has a freshman rookie starting quarterback who's out to make a name for himself. And I don't think Joe Burrow knows who the real Slim Shady is. So is my name Joe Burrow? Is my name Cody Rhodes? Who is he right now? Is he Slim? Is he Cody? Is he Joe? I don't know. He kind of looks listless out there playing football, doesn't he?
Yeah, he kind of looks just like Cody. Honestly, it's funny you said that because
He
I thought I
looks
was the
like
only.
Cody.
Yeah, I thought I was the only one who saw it when they showed his bleached hair and he's smiling. I'm like, oh, he looks just like Cody. I'm like, it's fucking hilarious. But yeah,
Like
and
I
by the way,
obviously Cody didn't say anything to
yeah, I mean, I'm
me,
pretty
but
much.
the
I
minute that
mean,
it happened, before everybody else jumped on it,
yeah,
I hit them up on Twitter right away, and I took a picture of my television with my phone to show to post it on Cody Rhodes' page. Like, hey, I didn't know you were the starting quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the season started during one of the PLEs, didn't it? And
it
so I
might have. Yeah.
believe that they were at the PLE. I think it was the one in Germany, and
Oh, Berlin.
the Bash in Berlin. And I
Yeah,
believe that I took a picture and posted it like not even like 15 minutes before Cody was set to even go out there. And I was like, this man looks just like him.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we're pretty much gonna wrap up this NFL recap because I mean, I'm just in bad spirits. But I'm excited to actually, if the Niners continue to lose, I'm excited to be able. One thing I want to know because when the Niners were losing back in 2016 and back in 2015 and back in 2017, it was really fun to watch the rest of the NFL. Even 2018, it was fun to watch the rest of the NFL. It's fun to watch. Even the 2000s, that was one of the things. Like when it was 07, you got to watch Eli Manning and versus the Patriots in 08, you got to watch the Steelers, obviously make history. And, one of my neighbors on the street's a Steelers fan. He's actually a really cool
Yeah.
guy. And he actually
I
was
want you to
rooting for
give
the
me a
Colts.
final score for tonight. Give me a score for the Buffalo and Jacksonville.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Buffalo, Jacksonville, gosh, I'll probably go Buffalo 24, Jacksonville 10, something like that. I mean, Buffalo,
I'm
Buffalo,
gonna
Buffalo.
I'm gonna take Buffalo 32, Jacksonville 13.
There you go. Yeah. And then probably same with I mean, what's the other matchup? Washington and who?
Washington, Cincinnati. We got Cincinnati at 0-2, Washington at 1-1.
Yeah. Is it at Cincinnati or is it at Washington?
I think it's at Cincinnati.
I mean, the Bengals have to win, otherwise they're out of the playoffs for
They're
sure.
0-2. Like no 0-3 team makes the playoffs need a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, I mean, Washington beat the Giants last week. I mean, they should win, I guess. Cincinnati actually should win because they're at home, but I don't know. Maybe I'll go Cincinnati
And
15-12,
you
something
you
like
know
that.
what? Aside from the 49ers, I think we've had a perfect record of picking these games up until the 49ers blew that for us last week.
Yeah, I don't even know. I thought we were gonna. I mean, they blew it for us against the Vikings. I thought that was gonna be easy money. Obviously, I should have looked at the history books and realized they haven't
I
won there.
said it was a toss up. I warned you about that Vikings game.
Yeah, well, Vikings. I mean, like, and it was 30. I mean, they hadn't won there in 32 years. I mean, that's the thing. So, but then now you look at Minnesota. It's not just Niners haven't won there, and Minnesota has a number. It's the then Vikings are for real. I mean, they just blew out the Texans. They beat the Niners. They blew out the Giants in Week 1. I mean, this is a really good team in Minnesota with Sam Darnold at the helm.
That's a bad man, right?
Yeah, GQ Bucks.
Sam Darnold. Did you know
Yeah,
he's only like 27?
yeah, he's only
He's
27.
not old, bro. He's not old. Like
He's
everyone
been in
thinks
the
he's like
league for what
35.
7 years. Yeah, no, it's crazy to think about. Like, he's still a young guy, and I mean, he's not that much older than Brock, honestly. So, I mean, it's pretty crazy to
Nope.
think like, this guy's been a veteran in the league for so long, and he has such a
There are
deep.
guys in college that are older than that
There are
playing
actually,
college football.
yeah, they might be, yeah. And I mean, the point is, I think Sam Darnold, with Minnesota and Kevin O'Connell, and Brian Flores, let's give Brian Flores his due because that defense is it looks ferocious, wire to wire.
We all like Brian Flores. We knew that he was legit.
Yeah.
And like aside from the coaching controversy, because we don't talk about politics on the show, but aside from the coaching controversy, I think he landed in the right spot where he was supposed to be at, and I think that he's taking his revenge on the league for it. Oh,
he is.
One more thing. If you guys don't believe in the Detroit Lions, you probably should start.
Yeah, they eked out that win against the Cardinals. They did lose to the Bucks, but the Bucks got blown out by the Broncos. It was a fucking weird ass week. How did the Bucks get blown out by the Broncos at home?
I'm going to say I think Baker Mayfield was like, my apologies if you don't drink, bro, but you look like one of the bros. Baker Mayfield and the boys were having a good time out there in Denver. You know what happens in Denver.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
And they had a little bit too much, and hopefully they bounce back next week. Go Bucks. I'm definitely still riding the wave. Go Bucks. And I got to say hey guys, look, I didn't talk about the Packers because I hate them, and that's it. I hate them, and their franchise is one of the luckiest franchises that never wins Super Bowls anymore, and I still hate them. So, sue me. I hate the Packers. I don't want to talk about the Packers unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah. I'm just going to say,
I hate the Packers.
Yeah.
Hate's a strong word. Yeah, I know.
I'm just gonna say I'm thoroughly impressed with Malik Willis. Obviously it's a run first offense with Josh Jacobs, but Malik Willis, kudos to the young guy. He's 24, 25 years old, and he's 2-0 in his first two starts with the Packers. That looks great. For him. So credit to Matt LaFleur. Sorry.
I know who's not 2-0.
He's not 2-0? Oh well, no, he did.
Caleb Williams. He's not 2-0.
Caleb Williams, baby. Man, yeah, I was gonna say, great coaching. Again, this is kind of the point. Great coaching can make young quarterbacks either look great or struggle. And I think Caleb Williams going for 368 yards, to your point, is not the recipe for success. However, I do think Brock Purdy, he needs better playmakers. Now, obviously, the criticism is, we'll see what Purdy's made of. I thought he had a great performance. But yeah, Ronnie Bell needs to go. Kyle needs to be less rigid in his.
Purdy was the best player on the field.
Yeah, next to Juwan. And Kyle, this comes out of Kyle. Let me just close out that for recap on this note. If your coach is so rigid because of their ego and their overinflated self-importance or heightened sense of self, right? Such as a Kyle Shanahan, you're going to see more or less the same bullshit where you're letting a team hang around when they shouldn't. Like they did with the Chiefs in the Super Bowl instead of mounting an early lead, like they did against the Chiefs in the first Super Bowl, like they did against the Rams on Sunday. You got a lead, and against the Rams again back in the NFC Championship a few years ago. Yeah, of course it's entertaining, it's exciting. Your contention, you're in these big championship games, NFC Championships, and Super Bowls. But if you're not coming out on top and you're not winning, if you're not sealing the deal when you're supposed to, it doesn't matter if you make it to the Hall of Fame, right? It doesn't matter if you make it to the Hall of Fame. It doesn't matter if you get a gold jacket.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if you don't win anything, then getting some honor by your team, it's still gonna feel good. But at the end of the day, and in the back of your head, you're always gonna say, "But I never won."
And everyone else is gonna say you never won because they're gonna remember those big moments and what did you do in those clutch moments, right? And that's kind of what we're missing from Shanahan's resume. I don't know if Shanahan is the right guy for this team to win at this point. 8 years of this, almost a decade in. I don't know what I'm getting. I know what I'm getting, and what I'm getting is a guy who's good enough to get you there, but not good enough to win. And that's what he's consistently proven year in and year out. Now, do I think Brock Purdy is different? I do think so. I think Brock Purdy has talent, and he can definitely do more. I don't think he's just a pocket scheme. I think he makes those plays, by himself. And so ultimately, I think Brock Purdy, if he is given, not necessarily, given more, he doesn't need more help per se, but I think they need a better offensive line. Shanahan doesn't prioritize offensive line. They need better playmaker, more depth at receiver. They need to make more better personnel decisions as to who plays. Instead of Ronnie Bell starting, they should start Jacob Cowing. I don't know why Cowing didn't get his reps yesterday. Chris Conley should get more reps. I don't understand why he wasn't involved yesterday. Like, that is the recipe for success when you have guys who are either young and full of talent and promise, not guys like Ronnie Bell who have had opportunity after opportunity and not basically capitalized when stepping on the field. So I'm going to end the NFL season recap with that. Let's transition over to WWE because we haven't talked about wrestling in a minute, and I want to get into it.
One more thing about football before we go.
Go ahead.
And I only wanted to say this. Over the weekend, there was a championship game that was scheduled to be played in Brazil. And unfortunately, there was a bus accident with one of the teams, the Coritiba Crocodiles, where they lost 3 members of the team. And some of the other 40-some people that were on the bus were injured. And I believe they were on the side of a mountain. And we don't know the condition of everyone, except the 3 that have, unfortunately left the gridiron forever. And I just want to say that my condolences goes out to the Coritiba Crocodiles and all of the guys that were there, all of the American players that are playing overseas. And every time something like this happens, it just reminds me that 1, life is precious. 2, the privilege of playing this game is precious. And, sometimes you don't get to leave it the way that you want to leave it. And if you guys have, beef with people, problems, me and Ali talk about it all the time. Well, we don't have any beef with anybody. If they got beef, it's definitely one-sided because, we're trying to live positive, happy lives and make the most out of our time while we're here, and because you only get this opportunity once, and once in this body, once with this mindset, and once with the skills that we've accumulated since, childhood. And so I just want to say, you guys think about that when you look at these guys. And yeah, we talk about these people as far as like football, but we're not talking about their character. If you notice, we don't dive into the slander of these players or what they're doing. We talk about what they're doing on the field. The name of this show is Digitally Dreaming Off the Gridiron podcast. And basically what it's saying is like, okay, we're still talking about it. We're still thinking about it, but we're worried about what's happening inside the lines and on the coaching sidelines. We're not worried about what kind of car the guy drives. We might make jokes here and there, but, that's really not what this is about. This is about driving this sport forward in all of its levels, and especially on the pro level. The pro level, and even at the minor league level as well. There's opportunity there, and I really want you guys to don't take anything for granted when it comes to the sport. But yeah, that's enough of that. Let's move forward to one of our favorite subjects.
Let's go to my favorite wrestling, professional wrestling, baby. Let's talk about it. Yeah, Roman Reigns. Let's get into it. The megastar, Cody Rhodes. I mean, the dominant storyline, and you and I, I don't want to bash AEW, but I was reading the Reddit forum, for Reddit to WWE SmackDown, and a lot of what people were saying was, after that Georgia Tech, kind of stare down, because they were WWE SmackDown was actually here in Sacramento this past weekend. I actually had tickets, and I was able to kind of go.
Yes, it was.
And so I was able to kind of get myself in there, get ingratiated, see my boy LA Knight, with the U.S. Championship, see Cody make his appearance at the end.
But who was at the Bears game?
Let's see, my number 2-4, baby.
Actually, Papa 2-4, my father was at the Bears game, but so was Seth Rollins.
That freaking Rollins, man. And yeah,
and let's talk about off he got dumped out the stands by, I believe it was Halliburton, wasn't it?
Yeah, Halliburton. Yeah, and that was awesome. I mean, I love to see, because Seth Rollins is so ingratiated with the Bears, being a lifelong fan. I love wrestling because it brings fans from all different sports teams, whether it's the NFL, NBA. You get athletes, entertainers, and you get this kind of beautiful semblance of entertainment, sport, and that's what it is, sports entertainment. Let's talk about it. So, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, the stare down Georgia Tech, basically,
that was pretty awesome, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
The production value
of
that vignette was immaculate. The production value was great, and and they could have came out and said nothing. The production value, the song, I don't even know who sang it. I am the storm. before we get demonetized. That was great. Wait, we never cared about getting demonetized before, so I don't even know
We're
why.
self-funded. Fuck the
Yeah,
monetization, baby.
we
Let's go.
we're gonna do what we want to do anyway. So
Exactly.
I mean, everything about that production, you can just look, Mr. McMahon was someone that brought the the product mainstream, but these minds that are there right now, and Michaels and Triple H and the other guys that are behind the scenes, like Albert, and that's not his name. His name is Matt, but we all knew him as Albert. These guys that are back there producing this show, writing this show, and getting everything together, that vignette might have been one of the best that I've ever seen.
Oh, hands down. Hands down. And I mean, for us to say that, for us growing up in the Attitude Era, that might seem blasphemous because that was our childhood. However, what people need to understand is Rock, Austin, right? Angle and flashing Angle, Lesnar, right? Triple H, Rock, Triple H, Austin. Like, yeah, storytelling was really what drove the Attitude Era, right? Ruthless Aggression Era, better wrestling. Even though you also had your payoffs with Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, who were carryovers from Attitude Era, finally reaching the mountaintop. But what we have to talk about is just the sheer magnitude of these two megastars the WWE has created, and that patience of what you just said of a Triple H, of I can't say his name, the former genius who used to be a part of the WWE. We can't say his name, right? And obviously now, like you
We
said,
can say his character. So I found out there's a distinction in the WWE's clauses that separate the man from the character.
Okay, so then that's fine. Yeah, Mr.
So
McMahon.
Mr. McMahon is a character created by and owned by WWE.
Okay, so there we go. So yeah, Mr. McMahon, Triple H, mainly Triple H, because Vince basically, left the door, I want to say like a few years in. Obviously, it was Vince's brainchild, like everything is, because Vince is Vince. It has to be him. He is wrestling. But basically, then Triple H taking the fold, right? And what we've seen since like the first Raw, since Triple H took over, Cody Rhodes this year, and obviously the last like 6 months since WrestleMania, it's been incredible. It's been incredible. It's been absolutely spotless. Yeah, go ahead, please.
So I'm gonna make a disclaimer here.
Yeah.
So we don't get sued.
We all get sued, bro.
If you guys have been watching for long enough, you'll understand the reference. But after a particular show a couple of years ago, and the entire wrestling world talking about the particular show that just so happened to be similar to where we are right now, they I used to think Brett screwed Brett. I think it was a combination of a fake work and Mr. McMahon screwing Brett. Do I think that H and Michaels were in on it? They had minimal roles to play, and they thought that it was possible that it would happen. But I think the initial moment, I don't think that either one of them knew when it was going to go down. Just from all of the evidence that I've gathered together, and let's face it, if anybody knew, it would have been Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall would have known just because of who their friends are. And we even talked to Justin Credible about this.
I was going to go there. So you don't need a disclaimer. You don't need to go that far back. Let's just talk about the interview we had last year, a year from this month, last year, when Justin Credible was on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, when Justin Credible was on the show last year, if you recall, you can go watch that episode, right? We actually had him twice. I had a first interview, then we both did, we both were basically fortunate to have him as a guest. And Cortez was actually able to give him more juice of kind of his memories of watching him, from Sunday Night Heat and ECW and all that. And
I
so
loved Justin Credible, so I had to ask him I was fanboying. I'm not even gonna lie. See, I won't fanboy over football players for obvious reasons, but I will fanboy over old school wrestlers, especially somebody like Justin Credible. And you're 100% right. I grilled that man.
Yeah, you grilled him. You made him do the Macho Man impression at the end. And I was like, okay, I'll let you go. But what he said, because you asked the question, and it was a very important point because you basically repeated it. You asked him, do you think the Montreal Screwjob was a work, or do you think that it was a shoot, that Brett actually got screwed? And he said, how could they have the camera crews, everything kind of going into it, pre and then post, and then capturing the exact moment he walks backstage, the exact moment Vince, goes in the locker room and ends out with the black with the shiner on his left or right eye. Like, how in the hell did all that happen?
We caught Brett spitting on Vince. We
Yeah.
caught Sean's reaction. Sean's
Right.
reaction, Michael, Sean, whatever I mean, technically it's the same name, it's just whatever. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Hickenbotham.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels, the showrunner of NXT, the head producer, the booker, that guy, that wasn't fake confusion. That match was supposed to last at least 5 more minutes.
Right.
Everybody was like, wait, this was not supposed to go down like this. I believe that it was supposed to be an angle, a DQ angle, where Brett ends up losing, or something like him grabbing a rope or something like that. From what he was talking about, he was like, it wasn't supposed to go down like that. Like, that's not how it was supposed to go down. Like, and just incredible. And he's not the only one. Maven has said it. Scott Hall said it. Kevin Nash said it. The other referee, not Earl Hebner, but the other 2 brothers.
Dave?
Yeah. He was like, this was not how this was supposed to happen. And they got in the car and drove out of the arena and wherever they were going. They got out of Montreal in Canada as fast as they could. And everyone else, even the announcers, were like, wait a minute. And something that you guys don't know, since the 80s, there has been a microphone inside of those headsets where the backstage and the producers talk to the announcers. And this has been going on since the 80s. So there's no way that they would. So if you would have watched the SmackDown from Friday night, you would have seen Corey Graves calling the fight in their other match, but he called it early. It was one of those serious planned spots. He made a mistake of going through his progressions and calling it early. And I was like, that didn't even happen yet. And then it happened like 5 seconds later. And it wasn't a tape delay or anything like that because it's live. That's number one. And number two, if you go back and look at the documentaries of the Montreal Screwjob, the people that we've talked to, they have never said that it was a shoot. They have always said this was a work that went wrong.
Well, it depends, because you ask friends of Brett, like Ken, who's a friend of the show. He might be back on soon next time, so we might be able to do a joint interview with him too. Let's see. Working through that. Ken is a friend. It depends on who you ask. That's the thing. There's so many biases. You know what I mean? Yeah,
and that's the problem.
You're right.
Because you ask Kurt, and Kurt says, I wasn't there.
Right.
Every time someone asks Kurt Angle a question, his answer is, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, I wasn't there. Yes, you were, Kurt.
Well, yeah, he actually wasn't there, but he joined.
He wasn't there for the screw job. He wasn't there for the screw job.
He joined. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like, so. I get upset because we can't ask Neidhart, he's gone. You can't ask Owen, he's gone. You can't ask Bulldog, he's gone. The only people that you really get to talk to are the extended friends of Brett and his family members, who just kind of also weren't really there. Like, they were there, but they were in the crowd. They weren't part of the production at the time. Natty was what, a baby?
Yeah. Natty was like 15, 16, whatever it was. Yeah.
Tyson Kidd, they were kids. And then the New Hearts, and then David Hart Smith, he's young now. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are, like, I know that, like, there's going to be more documentaries that come out the longer the time goes on, and the more, because let's face the facts, Brett's talking a lot these days.
I mean, it is what it is. I think, yeah, and then Brett was on, Raw, right? And obviously then, he basically put Gunther over. Gunther probably had his greatest heel moment on Raw when he told Brett his favorite wrestler was Goldberg. I mean, that was
he said you are the best there was. He goes, but I'm the best that there is.
Yeah, you're not the best there is. You look at the best there is, and the best there will be. So, yeah, I mean, and good. Yeah, go ahead.
That was my favorite promo that Gunther ever had, to be honest.
It actually, well, I mean, because of, like, it showed him coming to his own, right? You look for when you put a belt on a guy, I mean, we know he can work. Gunther's a 5-star worker, right? Every one of his matches is a 5-star match. You look for those things, right? As a fan or just as a critic or whatever, right? If you're wrestling, up to Sionado, right? You look for these things, right? And I'm like, wow, like that was probably like a 10 out of 10 heel comment, like you said, his best promo. He's really come a long way from his NXT days. So we definitely have to give him credit for that. But what I wanted to say was back to the whole kind of Cody Roman, the dominant storyline of the industry right now, outside of CM Punk and Drew. What, like you said about production value, what we talked about, of like the realism, and I think that's why you're segueing the Man Screw Job. Like you're asking yourself the question: how much of this is real? How much of this is fake? Because Roman basically ends the promo because Cody says, when Roman says, "I'm gonna take back what's mine," Cody stands in front of him. He says, "It's not yours to take." And then Roman says, "You're in my way." And then Cody steps back. And then Roman says, "You're in my way in life." That basically is where fans were like, wow. Like, this looks like a trailer for like an actual movie. And
That's what
I
I'm
mean,
saying. Like this, I also think that this is a swerve. I think that this was not the direction that they were supposed to be going in. And I don't think this is the direction that they were originally planning on going in either. I think
it
this is
wasn't.
another swerve.
It wasn't because Rock was supposed to be the guy to win at WrestleMania 40, right? And then
Yes.
the We Want Cody movement basically got Cody back in the mix, rightfully so. Cody became the champ. Cody
Well,
now.
that's one of the things that made this great. Roman looked at Cody and said, "You're in my way," and then Cody got out the way. He said, "You're in my way in life."
Yeah.
Cody referenced that night in Georgia Tech Stadium. He referenced, "Hey, the biggest match that you were looking for is not here right now."
Yeah.
So I truly I wasn't a fan of Kevin Owens, Barry, and Tamatonga like that, or Tamatonga.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Tamatonga and Tongaloa, they need to be able to work a little bit more because those guys are phenomenal. They can both wrestle. They both have great acumen. They have weapons, and I think they dropped the ball on Friday night by not having Solo there.
Well, and you know what? I think they also kind of dropped the ball because when Kevin didn't swing the chair on Cody, I was like, I was in the crowd. I mean, I was like, wait, what? Like, yeah, because the fans they were hungry for the
The
KO heel
fans
turn.
they
Yeah,
they said, "Oh," when he threw the chair, they wanted him to hit Cody.
right. And so that's the thing because I think what they're doing that's the long term build, right? They're gonna keep this bloodline thing going. Cody, Roman, what's next pay per view? Bad Blood, right?
Yeah,
I don't know who's gonna win this one. I think somehow the bloodline
you
might
have
edge it
Bad
out.
Blood, and then you have Survivor Series.
So they're going to put an end to this. I think they're going to keep the bloodline going till Survivor Series. Then they're going to end it there, and then they're going to go. They're going to turn their heads to Cody and Roman. But then KO is going to be introduced in the mix somehow because I think KO is going to basically turn heel sometime between Bad Blood. So this is just my prediction. I have no insight. This is what I think, right? So KO basically is saying that what I'm thinking is that's what Triple H is planning. He's going to have KO help them beat the bloodline and then basically, put Solo down. And then eventually then KO is going to turn on Cody because he doesn't like this Cody Roman alliance, even for a night. Because KO, obviously, is the type of guy who stabs his fans in the back. So you're going to say something. Go ahead. You want
I
to say something?
think Cody. I don't think the bloodline ends. I think it evolves.
Well, it can. That's also another possibility. But then the question is,
Well, they
how
signed Hikuleo. Why would
they
you sign
did.
Hikuleo?
That's a very good point. So maybe I'm off base because maybe what's going to happen is, to your point, Hikuleo is going to come in. I think
And
Hikuleo is
then
going to come. Good.
guess who's at WWE headquarters today?
Who?
Zilla Fatu.
Is he right now?
He was earlier.
Oh shit! I
Go
didn't
look.
know that.
Go check on Sean Ross Sapp. He's never wrong.
No. I mean, if Sean said it, then you're good. I mean, I was just gonna say
It's the
like,
same thing that happened with Tamatonga, if you remember, and Jacob Fatu. The same thing happened with both Tamatonga and Jacob Fatu, whereas they were rumored to have been there, and then they did not debut for 3 to 4 months. I think Jacob Fatu had been signed to WWE for like 5 months before he showed up on television.
and that was actually a smart move. It's funny because I remember, you and I we constantly bash AEW, but like one of like the most viewed interviews I have on this podcast on this channel is what's his name? What's his name? I can't remember my boy's name. My boy Toa Leona. Toa Leona
Yeah,
won half of the, I think, ROH World Tag Team Champions, right, on AEW's
yeah,
main roster. Like,
yeah.
and so like, but like, and like that was from 4 years ago. It was during the pandemic, and he basically was part of Rikishi's wrestling school. That's actually how I got to meet Rikishi. I mean, no, shout out to the Samoans, man. They're fucking cool ass people. But
Big
basically,
Oos.
right? What he said, I rewatched it just out of curiosity because I remember I was like, wait, he said look out for someone. He said, and then he said, anyone who wants to go watch it, go watch it. It's December 2020, right New Year's, December 31st, 2020, right before the pandemic basically ended. He said, what Toa Leona said was, watch out for Jacob Fatu.
Dude,
Because,
the Samoan werewolf. Like you got Hikuleu, you got Jacob Fatu, and you got Zilla Fatu. Zilla Fatu is Umaga's son.
oh, wait, sorry,
So
1 second. 1 second. Let me clarify one thing. Is Jacob Fatu and Zilla and Solo and Jimmy and Jay all brothers?
they're first cousins.
Who
Their
is
dads were brothers.
right? But who's Jacob's dad? That's my question.
You know what? Let's use the information box.
Yes, sir.
I
Google
don't
it.
want to be wrong.
Yes, I want to know who Jacob Fatu's dad was because I know Solo, Jimmy, Jay, they're all brothers from Rikishi, and then Rikishi has a bunch of other kids who
Oh,
are
Sam Fatu. The
Sam
Tonga
Fatu.
kid is Jacob
Oh, Samu.
Fatu's father.
Samu, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Samu. Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
Samu. So Rikishi and Samu, the head shrinkers, and then
And
yeah, so
and
Samu.
and then Umaga is Zilla Fatu's father. And
Oh my
you
god,
know
how did
Zilla
I not know
Fatu,
that?
he calls himself the only one.
Yeah,
Oh
Zilla
no, the
and
main one. He calls himself the main one, and he does all of the bloodline stuff already. And he's ready to sign. Even his
Zilla.
merchandise is bloodline merch. And then I'm gonna give you guys some insider information. Go look at his YouTube channel. Look at what his YouTube channel looked like before 3 months ago. Now look at what his YouTube channel looks like. And the only way your YouTube channel looks like that is if you're pumping $10,000 into it per video. You don't make anything like don't get me wrong, you can, but these guys have money. This is those are not cell phone cameras. Those are not webcams. Those are WWE cameras. And I know they're WWE cameras because if you go and look at the production, it looks exactly the same as NXT.
Yeah, and I was gonna say to your point, Zilla Fatu to your point, the only one. I mean, I think it's crazy.
Main
Eddie,
one. The main one.
the main one, Samu, Rikishi, and yeah, Umaga. Wow, Zilla debuts, it's gonna be.
They're all back. You got The Rock's daughter is the general manager of NXT.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, like Jimmy's wife is fighting for the championship soon.
Yeah, Naomi's killing it.
She's having a good time.
I mean, honestly, Naomi looks better now than she ever did before, in my opinion. Because like her athleticism and like that
She's in better.
that
She's in better shape.
yeah, her
And she's
springboard like double leg
she's in better shape, but she's a more rounded character.
the springboard double leg moonsault. I can't get that out of my brain. Like how the hell does she go and
Let's just
springboard?
call it Starship Pain ×2.
Right, it's crazy.
Because we thought Starship Pain was awesome.
Right.
No offense to Johnny Mundo, but Starship Pain. I gotta say it, man. Like we're in a good era right now. No offense to AEW, and this is why you're having problems is because they're on WWE caught fire in a bottle, and it's just burning and burning and burning. And I'm gonna tell you, so I'm gonna go along with your story, and I'm gonna tell you where I was going with that.
Go ahead.
You have the Cody Roman cross-sectional story. Cody and Roman are not going to see each other on Raw or SmackDown. Cody and Roman are going to see each other at the Big Four, one of the Big Four. Now, does that mean that Royal Rumble might be a fight for them? And I can see Cody taking some time off to be a dad during the Royal Rumble and maybe losing his title at the Rumble. I can see Roman taking it for 6 months. Well, no, the Rumble's what, 4 months away from?
Yeah, I think honestly, I think what they're going to do, they're going to make history. They're going to make it the first ever three-peat WrestleMania. Cody Roman is going to be the first ever three-peat WrestleMania because, I mean, it's box office, bro. It's box office. I mean, it's money. You know what I mean? Too much money to be made.
So for Survivor Series, do you do an all-star team or do you do Bloodline versus Bloodline?
That's a tough one because I don't know. Because here's the thing, I don't know when Hikuleu and when Zilla's going to debut because I think that's really what's going to drive it. You know, whenever Hikuleu,
I think
whenever Zilla.
if either one of them signed, they probably debut within the
Well,
month.
no, Hikuleu is already signed. That's the point. You were right. Hikuleu's
Yeah,
signed.
Hikuleu signed.
Yeah.
Maybe they're waiting to see if they can sign Zilla. If they can sign Zilla, I can see Hikuleu and Zilla showing up and signing with Roman.
No, Hikuleu and Zilla are going to side with Solo, and then Roman is still going to be on his own with Cody. What they're going to do is they're going to make Cody and Roman like Rock and Austin, where it's like you have two megastars who are so big and bad that they can beat up anybody. You know what I mean? That's what I see. I mean, I could be completely off base, but I see that kind of happening because
No, that's happened like 15 times before.
right, you know,
I
and
mean,
so
the Mega Powers, you had two total polar opposites that hated each other as tag team partners, and it worked.
yeah, Mach. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, see, every great kind of pairing of feuds. Like, for example, Mega Powers, Mach and Hogan, Brett, Shawn, Austin, Rock. Fuck. I mean, Orton,
Rock,
Cena.
Mick Foley,
Yeah,
Austin, and Angle.
yeah. Angle, Austin, Angle,
Cena, Rock,
Lesnar,
Cena, Bryan. I mean, Cena and everybody.
Triple H. I
Because I
mean, you know
think
what I mean? Yeah, Cena, everything. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, like, so that's
I'm
what
gonna
they
tell you
do.
what's gonna happen. I already know
Yeah,
what's gonna happen.
let's go.
Roman and Cody are gonna win the tag titles.
No, you see that?
It's happened how many times?
It has, but do you see that? Like when? Tell me.
That's the way that it has to go. If you're gonna follow WWE lore in the way that things have always gone, who has the tag titles? The Tongans.
But then, when? So like, when do you see it? Do you think it's going to be at Survivor Series that they're going to go against? It's going to be like a 6-man or like whatever, like Survivor Series 5-on-5 elimination, and then basically Roman and Cody. I mean, it makes sense because what they can do. That's like a really genius kind of turn because if you make Roman and Cody the tag champs at Survivor Series, right? Then you basically have like the chaos in between that team that builds up to the Rumble, and then they maybe drop the titles at
Well,
the Rumble.
if you introduce Zilla and and Hikuleu, you're gonna have to do something with the Survivor Series teams. So I
Right.
could totally see Jimmy coming back because of Rikishi. I can only because of Rikishi. I can see Jimmy coming back maybe next week or the week after, or maybe Jimmy comes back at Bad Blood because Roman and Cody are going to be outnumbered. If Jimmy comes back at Bad Blood, I can see Jay coming to help Jimmy and Cody, and then Jay having a stare down with Roman and Jimmy, and then them end up being a tag team for the or if you really want to get crazy, you could put the tag team titles on the line because technically it's the Freebird rule and say that Cody and Roman could win the tag titles at Survivor Series. But I just don't know who's going to be in the War Games match. Do we need the OG and New Blood? Do we need them in the War Games cage? Do we need that? Can anything top the last one?
You see, I think that's what's going to happen. I think you're right. I think because that's why they had Jimmy go out. They have Jay kind of not really doing much on Raw. They're gonna bring back OG Bloodline. It's gonna be him and Cody, and I think KO will be the fifth guy. That's what I think. KO
Does
gonna be
Jay
the fifth.
lose tonight?
Who's Jay? Who's Jay wrestling?
Jay's wrestling Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship.
I think Jay loses. Yeah, because I think Braun and Gunther are going to hold on to their belts at least to Survivor Series, minimum Survivor Series, probably through the Rumble. If I'm being honest.
Does does Hikuleo does Hikuleo screw Jay out of his title shot tonight?
Oh, see, and you see that's what this is why ladies and gentlemen, why is WWE a superior brand to AEW? All of the possibilities and all of the surplus of talent and all of the storytelling makes it so we can project things that we have no actual knowledge about. We don't know if this is going to happen, but basically, it's so exciting. How they can
Everyone like right now, I was mad Friday night after SmackDown went off because so many weird things happened.
Mhm.
But I was like, I kind of like that.
Here's what I'm thinking. Just what I think. Just kind of what I think the survivors if they're going to do elimination. Solo, Jacob Fatu, Tonga Loa versus Roman, Jane, Jimmy, and Cody. If they add like a fifth guy, maybe Tikaleu on the bloodline, and maybe then it's KO, right?
Well,
On
where's Zilla gonna go when you have? Because okay, the whole Bloodline faction is about paying homage to their ancestors, right?
Mhm. Maybe Zilla makes his debut then. I don't know, but I mean, I'm just saying without
But
okay.
how can you have Zilla, Jacob, and Solo all on the same team? All three of them do the same moves,
Yeah,
except Solo can't flip.
no. See, Jacob's way more athletic. I'm sorry. Solo,
Yeah, Solo
Solo,
can't flip.
Solo is not that guy who I think Jacob is priming him. Who's being primed to be like Jacob is like Maga kind of like way more athletic than Maga. Because he does so much shit. It's crazy. Like Jacob Fatu is like a really good wrestler and a
Jacob
really
is
good.
a big version of the Usos.
He is a very talented performer. You know what I mean? And I mean,
Yeah, like
honestly,
he's got it. He can talk. He can walk. He can wrestle.
well,
I don't really like Solo on the mic, but Jacob doesn't need to say that much either. But the way Jacob says things is way more forceful than Solo. I feel like Solo is more of a they've done it. This is why WWE is better because we can all say that we know that Jacob is better, but we can all understand why Solo is the tribal chief.
yeah,
Because while Jacob might be a better wrestler, he's still a loose cannon, and he also is prone to the same mistakes. Now, I know wrestling is scripted, guys. Don't shoot us down in the comment section. But and if you're watching after this long of us talking about wrestling, you shouldn't be shooting us down anyway. So Jacob keeps making mistakes in the ring, mistakes that the head of the table doesn't make.
Mhm.
The main eventer doesn't make these mistakes. Like when Jacob kicked the chair out of Cody's hand on Friday night. Why didn't he just kick Cody? I know why he kicked the chair. You know why he kicked the chair. He knows why he kicked the chair. Cody knows why he kicked the chair. But it's the psychology of the match that makes us keep watching. It's the psychology of what they're doing that makes us get involved in the story. And now you have 4, 5, 6 intertwined stories. You know who else is out there who nobody's talking about? Sean Spears, aka WWE's Ty Dillinger, the chairman, the guy. So I thought they were going to replay the spot from Ty Dillinger, aka Sean Spears, his real name, hitting Cody over the head with the chair like he did at the beginning of AEW at All Out.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I thought that he was going to. I thought that Kevin Owens was going to pull that because you got to remember, Sean Spears and Cody were like this, and then out of nowhere he clocked an unarmed, unready, standing there Cody across his dome with the chair, and KO looked like he was primed to do the exact same thing. And even after the hug was over, KO picked the chair back up. Like the bloodline already left. Why are you picking the chair back up? It's the end of the show. You know that. We know that. It's just like teasing. He's going to turn on Cody because that's his nature. He's turned on everybody. He even, you know what? This is great because 2 weeks ago, Owens was like, everybody that I turned on deserved it, except for
Yeah.
Kofi. I'm really sorry about that, Kofi. I'm really sorry about that. Everybody else deserved it.
Yeah.
and you have and when you go replay it and you dive into it, everybody else that KO turned on kind of had it coming, including
Yeah.
Sammy. Sammy had it coming.
Yeah.
Sammy had it coming every time. Jericho had it coming. And I like me some Jericho. He had it coming too. Everybody that KO's ever turned on had it coming except Kofi. Kofi didn't do nothing to that man. Ever.
Yeah, Kofi, man. Yeah, he tends to be the odd man out. Whether it's title reign, losing to Brock, or getting squashed, and or whether it's KO. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think kind of wrap it up. Yeah, I just the psychology of the business. I really think WWE has perfected it. It's going to be great to see these young new members of of the Fatu and Anoa'i family make their debuts. And yeah, man. And no, one more thing. Sorry, CM Punk. We gotta talk about this. CM Punk wanted to
Bengals
go.
up 7-0.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. But CM Punk going to NXT, doing that promo. You mentioned Shawn Michaels being NXT. I think CM Punk is basically priming himself to basically take over that role, that capacity, at some point,
He
because
is. He is.
that's why he came back.
You'll see Shawn Michaels back in. You'll probably see him back on the main roster doing stuff after he takes a vacation.
He might be back on the main roster, but I think he might just stay as a producer in the back end, and maybe
He's going to be on the back. He's not going to be on screen.
Yeah.
Not often.
He's going to be a producer. He's going to be kind of him and H are basically him and Paul and Levesque are just going to be kind of tag. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, to give any one man, obviously the one man who did it for 45, 50 plus years. I mean, it's incredible to see what he was able to produce and make our childhoods great. But outside of him, I mean, it's really hard for any one guy to do it. You heard Justin Credible talk about Tony Khan last year, like. To write all 3 shows and write all the pay-per-views, like that is too much for a guy. Tony, I don't know his background wrestling. I don't know if he grew up a wrestling fan or whatever. Maybe he did, but it's a lot, dude. Like, I mean, just to be like, to have it on your shoulder. So it's really good to have another kind of voice to kind of bounce ideas off of. And I think if Sean and Triple H kind of man the creativity side of it at the helm together, I think there could be some magic that could be even better than the magic we've seen so far as Triple H has taken over. Kudos to Triple H. I definitely appreciate everything you've done to really bring back this feeling of the ruthless aggression / attitude era. I love the way the product is going, business is going, man, and I'm fucking hyped. Let's go. I'm ready for Bad Blood. Let's go,
I'm
baby.
ready. I want to say thank you for the guys that tuned in. I don't have too much to say. Like we said, the Buffalo's killing them. Buffalo's killing them. Cincinnati's up 7. And look, we're not going to talk about San Francisco and Chicago right now. They just pissed.
No, we're not going to talk. No, let me do it. Here, y'all see me? We're. That's it, bro. I mean, I wear it
on your last broadcast before our hiatus. What did you say after the Super Bowl? What did you say?
I don't remember. You tell me.
You said, and I quote, "This was the last 49ers Super Bowl that I will ever pay to go to."
That is what I said. Yeah, that is true. That is the last game I'm ever going to pay to go to until either A, they win, either they win the Super Bowl. That's it. Actually, no, there's no either.
Yeah,
they have
like
to win
you
the Super Bowl
said,
for me to go.
they win the Super Bowl. You can go, like, okay, for example, I'm a huge Cubs fan.
Right.
I can go to Cubs games when they're having a bad season because the Cubs won.
Yeah.
And them being so average or below average and having great spots and having great players for all those years and not winning anything, I felt like if they just win it once, I can start going to games again.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm not, I tend to become like a fan and I get caught up in the highs and lows. All right, playoff runs, this and that. We all do, right? And maybe they will. And maybe I'll get caught up. I always do. I get sucked up in the emotion. Oh my God, they made the playoffs. Oh my God, they're going to go do this. But dude, like at this point, bro, like if you're not winning the Lombardi, like what are we talking about, bro? Like we've seen you guys make 4 of the last 5 NFC championships. We've seen you guys make 2 of the last 4 Super Bowls. Like there's nothing else more you got to do except win it. And if you can't do that, then I mean, so again, you mentioned this, the payoff. You talked about this in wrestling 2 years ago. Where is my payoff? I'm a fan of the 49ers.
Where is my payoff?
That's it. And I'm still going to be a fan because that guy up there, number 8, that guy number 80, from my childhood, that's what got me into it, growing up in the Bay Area, in the San Francisco Bay Area. So my dad got me into it.
I'm going to talk to my dad and see if he can let you meet Jerry Rice.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. No, but at the end of the day, like, bro, like, it's just like, I mean, I'm not even angry. I'm just like, I'm not even disappointed. That's where we got. I know this is what we're gonna get.
This is what we're gonna get. it's a distaste for decision making.
Well, and this is what we're going to get. How many times do we have to see this movie, the same movie, play over again before we realize this is what we're going to get? Like, I can't sit here and tell you or tell anyone watching. Maybe I lose subscribers for saying this. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. This is what you're going to get. This is who Kyle Shanahan is. This is what Jed York is as an owner. This is what this team is. They will lose when they're not supposed to. They'll win when they're maybe supposed to, but you don't. When it comes time to winning the game, the big game, the game to get you to that, proverbial over the hump, over that cusp, they're not going to be able to do it, bro. And yeah, I mean, I can talk about NFL. I love NFL. I'm a foreign player. I played, for 14 years. I mean, I love football. I'll talk about football. I'll be a fan of football.
Ask you this question.
Go ahead.
You're gonna hate this question, but I'm gonna ask.
No, please. Go ahead.
Do they play Los Angeles this year?
Who?
The 49ers. Do they play the Chargers at all this season?
They do not play Chargers here, no.
I know you're glad, because if Big Dick Jim walks in there with his hat on and his pleated khakis, and he starts bending over and licking his chops, and Justin Herbert is just carving up them Niners, and Shanahan has no answer, you might put all of that stuff in storage, except for those two pictures.
What I was going to say was Jim Harbaugh and Larry Krueger, who's a long-time reporter for the 49ers, I think for over almost 30, 40 years now. Yeah, 40 years. God, he's been doing it for a minute. Or at least 35 years. Larry Krueger said this. He said he thinks Jim Harbaugh wins the Super Bowl before Kyle Shanahan. And it pains him to say that because he's a 49ers reporter. He's a fan of the team, diehard Niners fan from the Montana days. He grew up watching Joe. Then obviously in his adulthood, he got to see Steve and Jerry in the 90s, right? But he said, in all honesty, my unbiased opinion, logic stands to reason, Jim Harbaugh is going to win a Super Bowl before Kyle Shanahan.
Do you think that they're going to fire John in Baltimore?
I mean, and here's the big elephant in the room. The guy who rejected the defensive coordinator job, Bill Belichick. What happens if they decide to go away from Kyle and then Bill gets that itch?
In Baltimore?
In Baltimore? No, I'm saying if Bill wants to come to San Francisco.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think that we get some running. I think that we get some stellar quarterback play from Brock, and I think that there's just a shot that he wins the Super Bowl in San Francisco. And I mean, he's old, but he's still there. His mental faculties aren't diminished.
I mean, if anyone watches the Pat McAfee show, I mean, Bill Belichick's take on Patrick Mahomes was basically pristine, spot on. I mean, for Patrick Mahomes to say, he said when Patrick Mahomes at their press conference, like there's areas he has to improve, make his guys better. Bill said, that's the kind of guy I want to coach. Brock Purdy is not as talented as Patrick Mahomes. I mean, no one's as talented. Honestly, not even Tom Brady. The talent-wise, Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, talent.
Another level. Yeah,
I've never seen a quarterback as talented as Patrick Mahomes. And, I've obviously been watching football for over 30 years, last time I won a Super Bowl when I was in diapers. But, I mean, it's incredible to see Bill. I think he's starting to get what I said last time. Bill left the sport because he lost touch with the modern day NFL. But it looks like now he's starting to get back in touch with the modern day NFL.
I mean, how could he not? I mean, you got an ancient dinosaur of an owner for the team that you were coaching. You have the same system that you've been running for 25 years. I mean, it's cool. I like all the versions of the Patriots since the Bledsoe era. It's cool.
And that's the thing, bro.
Shanahan's not cool, and neither is Eberflus. And I think that's a perfect place for me to stop today.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think Eberflus is not on the same level as Shanahan. Shanahan has his own kind of little niche.
He's better than Eberflus. I say that much.
Yeah, he's better than Eberflus. Eberflus is not the right guy. Justin Fields was a running quarterback. Eberflus tried to make him a pocket passer. That didn't work. And now you see Mike Thomas playing their strengths, making him scramble, draw QBs, design runs for Q. I mean, that's how you make Justin Fields. You optimize Justin Fields' abilities. You play to his strengths.
80% 80% completion rate for this season
Well,
right now for
exactly.
Justin Fields.
Numbers never lie, right? So I was gonna say, basically, back to Shanahan, right? I mean, he's been great. Brock Purdy is great with Shanahan, right? But I personally think you give Brock Purdy any other offensive coordinator. You saw what he did with Juwan Jennings. You give him a competent receiving core who can catch balls. You give Brock Purdy a competent offensive line who actually can block because Jake Brendel and Colton McKivitz are cooked. That's the worst center Niners have ever fielded. That's the worst right tackle Niners have ever fielded in franchise history on any of their playoff teams. You get rid of those guys. You stick with your Pooney. You let Trent go. You let Banks go, honestly, because Banks is starting to get up there too. You basically, rebuild. You rebuild, and you rebuild with the right leadership at coach, with the right accountability. I think this team can win a Super Bowl. Now, do I think Shanahan can win a Super Bowl? I don't. That's where I'm at. I said that after Super Bowl that he's going to win. I'm wrong. Yeah, y'all hearing me say it. I was wrong. I was on YouTube. I was wrong. I was wrong on Spotify. I said they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. I was wrong. They're not winning the Super Bowl this year. That's it. Okay? But as much as I came in, I'm wrong, I can also admit that you have to realize there comes a time when eras come to an end, runs come to an end. This Niners team, this iteration, with all the expiring contracts, with the fact that they're pay Brock Purdy top money next year, with the fact that Fred Warner is going to need to be paid, with the fact that Various Ward is going to need to be paid, with the fact that Giacomo Donor is probably going to want money, somewhere, so someone's going to offer money. All these players, all these pieces, Bosa, all these guys are making top money. Bosa, Kittle, CMC, and Devo with injury problems. I mean, this team, this run has come to an end. And there's nothing wrong with that. I appreciate the memories. I appreciate everything Kyle did for the franchise. But, even if you have to rebuild, as unpopular of an opinion as it is, a new vision, a new head coach, that is what can be the difference between a team just making it and a team actually winning it all. And I'm going to end this on that. So, anyways, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. If you're still subscribed and you're not angry at me, follow us at DDOG Podcast. Follow us on Spotify, Twitter. We might be back on Instagram soon. Follow us, obviously, on YouTube, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. Share. Cortez, please.
Guys, sometimes we say things that are a little bit, let's just say we got some pretty good sources on some of the things that we say. And sometimes people don't like that very much. So sometimes we got to go away for a little while. But you know what? We're here. We're back. Follow our socials. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify. You can find me on Instagram. You guys know, good old Soul Reaper 24.
Follow us on X. States. Yes, sir. Follow us on X at DDOG Podcast. Share, subscribe, like it. We have sources. We have opinions. Some of it's founded. Some of it's unfounded. That's what we're here to do. We're here to talk shop.
Take a break from some of the stuff you guys actually watch on X. I know that you guys are not watching regular things on X. I'm not dumb. But watch us, check us out, follow us. We love to interact with you guys. And today was special, and we're gonna make sure that we do, and we're gonna keep you guys updated throughout the wrestling season because it's heating up, and throughout the football season. And let's just hope that both Chicago and San Francisco can right the ship. And I would much prefer to see parity through the entire league instead of a couple of teams. I don't want to be able to call the season this early on who's going to be what. I don't want to be able to do that.
But unfortunately, that's where we are. I mean, the Chiefs are who they are, and unfortunately, that's what we have to do in the NFL. When you
live in who we thought they were.
When you live in the dynasty, and actually, let me just talk about one thing before we end this episode. When we think about the NFL history, we talk about Tom Brady. We talk about Bill Belichick, the Patriots dynasty, greatest dynasty in the Super Bowl era, right? 6 Super Bowls in the span of 20 years. Like, you never thought they were going to win every year, and they did not win every year, but they were always in contention every year, right?
Yep.
The 49ers of the 80s won 4 Super Bowls in 8 years, and I believe they made 8 NFC championships in that span. The Dallas Cowboys of the 90s won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, and again, they won 3 Super Bowls, 3 NFC championships in that span. The Broncos of the late 90s won 2 Super Bowls back-to-back. The Patriots then came in on the fold. Then they won, obviously, 3 in that first run. The Steelers won 2 in between. So you have these runs of these teams, and there's going to be a window. It may not be this year. It may be next year, maybe the year after, where the Chiefs are going to have a little lull period. because regardless of how great they are right now, how great they're assembled, at some point that run is going to come to an end, or there's going to be a lull in between their run, like we saw with Tom Brady and the Patriots, like we saw with Joe Montana and the 49ers, like we saw with every great dynasty, where some other teams are going to have a shot, And I'm curious to see which teams those are going to be. I don't know which team it's going to be. I really don't, but I'm really excited to see that.
Oh my God, we have breaking news, bro! Breaking
Yeah.
news. Breaking news.
Yeah.
Hikuleo was added to the NXT roster just a couple of hours ago.
Oh shit. Okay, there we go. So I don't know if Hikuleo is going to be debuting as part of the bloodline just yet, but I do think your point of long-term storytelling is very valid because I think they're going to somehow get him in the mix. They have to. So I'm excited for that. Excited for WWE. Excited for the rest of the season. Once again, you guys will follow us. Thank you all for tuning in. Yeah, go ahead. What are you going to say?
Well, here's the thing. His stablemates were Jacob Fatu, Tongaloa, and Tamatanga, the Gorillas of Destiny.
Right.
Maybe he's just there to refine himself for a little bit, have a couple of matches, and get called up the same way Solo did. Solo was only in NXT for what, 4 or 5 months?
Yep.
That's all we got.
That's all we got, baby. Let's get ready, bro. Y'all. March towards Bad Blood. March towards Survivor Series. See y'all this weekend. Thank you for tuning in. God bless. Have a great week ahead, y'all.